TGIF, and thanks for joining me today on Fridays with Flora. And today we're going to be doing some baking. We're going to make some buttermilk biscuits, which is always great to have on hand for any kind of meal, especially a good comfort food meal. So join me in the kitchen today. We're going to make some biscuits. So to start off on any biscuit, you need flour, and we're going to use all-purpose flour, not bread flour, because with biscuits you want things to be light and flaky and yummy, whereas bread flour is a little bit heavier in the proteins and it's a little bit of a denser flour. So here we've got 1 3/4 cups of flour that we've measured, and to this we're going to add our leavening. We're going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, in this biscuit recipe, we're also going to need a little bit of baking soda because the buttermilk adds a little bit of an acid, more of an acidic versus alkaline. So we need a combo of baking powder and baking soda in these biscuits. We're also going to need a little bit of salt, and it's up to you what you want to do. A 1/2 to 3/4 teaspoon is fine. There's going to be some salt in the butter. At this point you want to mix things. Some people, I had a friend of mine that made biscuits and she always sifted this. I just take a fork and kind of mix it all up. And that works for me. So to this you're going to add shortening, and it's up to you if you want to use vegetable shortening, if you want to use butter. I like butter, and we're doing 1/3 cup of butter. And you roughly chop it, and I let it sit a little bit to take some of the chill out. You don't want it soft, but I, for biscuits, like it not totally completely cold. Some people do. I just think it's easier to incorporate. And we're going to cut the butter in with a pastry cutter. This is a pastry cutter. You can also use 2 knives or 2 forks. You could also do a food processor. I find with biscuits, just like with pie crusts, I'll cheat with pie crusts with the food processor too. But the key is to not overwork things. And if doing by hand, you tend to not overwork. You'll have a little bit more control. So we're going to cut this in until everything looks like a coarse cornmeal. At this point, I don't have large chunks of butter, and if I toss this around, I notice the butter is in very small pieces, and everything feels really nice and coarse. At this point, you're going to put your buttermilk in. So I've got a cup here, and I'm just going to pour in 3/4 cup of buttermilk. I'm also going to take my pastry cutter out, and I'm going to use a spoon. And you want to just mix this until it's coming together. So though things are coming together, I'm going to add just a splash more buttermilk. You want things to come together into a ball, but you don't want things too sticky either. See how it's coming together into one piece of dough? That's what you're looking for. So at this point, we can turn this onto our silk pad, and we're going to throw some flour on it. So we're going to knead this until it just comes together, and then we're going to knead just a little bit more. The key to biscuit making is to not overwork your dough so you get your flaky biscuits. So even though I started with 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk, I think I probably ended up with a full cup once I kept drizzling in what I needed to get it to come together. Okay, this is just come together, right? So we're just gonna knead this about 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, and 10. Now we roll. So get a little bit more flour, not too much, and get a rolling pin. We're going to roll this to about a 1/2 inch thick. Okay, usually biscuits use a 2-inch cutter. I want to make them a little bigger, so this is a 3-inch cutter. And you kind of lightly flour your cutter, and you go around. So there you are. Now 2 inches would have gotten me a lot more, but we like that size. I have here a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. I'm just going to set these about a couple inches apart. And yes, my oven is at 450. I preheated it. So waste not, want not, I am going to reuse this because there's definitely 2 to 3 more biscuits over here. Careful not to overwork it. Really just put it all back together quickly and reknead it. There, I rekneaded it all, rolled it out, and I got 3 more out of the excess. So there they all are. Look how pretty. Now I'm going to bake these for about 10 to 12 minutes. And then we're going to immediately take them off the cookie sheet once they're golden. I could just smell them. Yum, yum, yum. Lightly golden on your edges. We're going to take these off and put them on a cooling rack and serve them warm. Delicious. Great with butter. It's going to go great with our chicken tonight. So thanks for joining me today on Fridays with Flora, where we did some buttermilk biscuits. It's worth the effort, and you know what? You don't need store-bought biscuits. This was easy, right? Right. Join me next week when we do a kitchen basic, and please subscribe to my channel. I could really use the subscribers. Anyway, thanks a lot. Happy baking. Bye-bye.